Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. I've been kind of busy today since this morning's ruck, doing a lot of running around and doing errands, talking with people, just busy stuff, you know. Hadn't had much time to really pay attention to what's going on in the world. And I sat down a little while ago just to see if we're in World War III yet. You know, got to see if we're still a country and all that kind of stuff. Because I mean, my goodness, things are changing on a moment's notice. It seems like anymore, and there's just all kinds of stuff going on. This F-35 has people just all in a tizzy, and I'll admit it seems quite suspicious. I mean, we're talking quite possibly one of the most advanced pieces of weaponry that our government admits to having. I mean, you and I know they've got things that they don't tell us about. But $80 million stealth fighter plane that has all these immense capabilities, and it just goes missing. There's speculation that the thing was hacked by the Chinese, and that it, landed in Cuba. All kinds of stuff. There's speculation that it was hacked by the Chinese, and the pilot didn't willingly eject, but that he was ejected by the hack, or maybe that it was AI. Maybe Skynet has gone fully operational. The U.S. Marines have grounded all of its aircraft for 2 days. 2-day grounding. They're still looking for it. Nothing is for certain, and we'll probably never know the truth of what really happened. So that's got people really crazy. We finally officially topped $33 trillion in debt today, apparently, is what they're saying. Several other interesting things going on in the world, but I think it's pretty apparent that we're entering that stage of just one thing after another craziness. I talked about it over on my locals channel today, and I'm not going to go into details of what I talked about. You'll have to go over there and watch it. But more and more people that definitely have contacts, connections, are telling me that their connections and saying that it's not looking good, and more people are speaking to me about the desire, the intensity, the pressure to really get things in order. You know, your houses in order. And I know that there's still the naysayers out there. I deal with it all the time. In fact, here lately, it's been quite intense. The amount of people like, oh, stop with the fear mongering. It's just stuff that's happening. Yeah, it's stuff that's happening that's showing how much closer and closer we are to some kind of, imminent cataclysmic change. I mean, you can't just keep having all of these, get out of here, horsefly. You can't just keep having all of these things happen over and over again on a daily basis and not expect that we're inching closer to a great demise. And if you want to call that sensationalism, I guess that's what it is. But we have to be getting very serious about our stuff. And I want to encourage each one of you, whether you're individually prepping on your own as a family or you're part of some kind of tribe or mag, to be intensely evaluating where you're at. One of the things, especially if it's more than just one of you, like if you're on your own, maybe this isn't the most important thing, but even if you're on your own, you want to have the ability to communicate. You need to get your communications down. Your comms need to be solid. There are so many things and different options, and I understand even within our own tribe, for the folks that aren't like the radio operators, they don't have a ham license, they've not been into radio, it's confusing, and I get it. But you need to have it. I would recommend that everyone have a decent, you don't need hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but a decent CB radio. And before anyone goes crazy and say, oh, come on, that's outdated. In rural parts of America, and in most of the rest of America, CB is still actually used. Truckers, farmers, Most good old boys, they still have CBs in their trucks. And while I don't think CB is a great option for your group to be communicating on, because there's so much traffic, it's good to have it so that you can hear what's going on. If nothing else, you're listening. And so I would suggest having a good CB. If you're part of a little group, tribe, mag, whatever, and you're within a less than, say, a 20-mile range, depending on the terrain, GMRS is going to work pretty good for you. You may need to put up a tower, a repeater. You don't have to have a special license to do that. You just do it. And you need to have a license to be on GMRS, but that's so easy to get. No test or anything like that. It's like $35 for 10 years. You just get online and you pay it and you get the license. But you can put up a repeater tower for really not too much money. So you need to have your comms down. I would recommend that you have 2 sets of comms. I get it. This is expensive. Well, not really, but it's money. You should have your radio comms that you're using now. And then you should have backup communications that you would put in, say, a safe Faraday cage type of scenario, whether it's buried or in a Faraday cage. You can look up, there's lots of videos and stuff. Remember, with a Faraday cage, it's not so much that it's encapsulated in some kind of metal, even if the metal is completely sealed. It's that there's layers. You need to have layers of metal and layers of some type of non-conductive material so that it loses the static energy. So like a layer of metal, and then a layer of plastic, and then a layer of metal, and then until you get down to the actual stuff you're protecting. You need to have your comms pretty solid. Defense tools, need to be making sure you've got those and stocking up. Right now, you can still get stuff pretty cheap. The prices are actually down, comparatively speaking, pretty low. I don't think that's going to last forever. I think the first time that there's some kind of potential nuclear war or World War III possible real scenario, people are going to be going out and they're going to be stocking up, because all they're going to be thinking about is, Red Dawn. We're going to have the Chinese, the Chi-Coms, they're going to be parachuting into our backyards. So they're going to be going out and buying, because that's what people do. They panic. You need to make sure your food is solid. Keep stocking up. You need to have at minimum a 6-month supply of food that you could just live off of for 6 months, but I would push that way out to at least a 1 or 2 year if you're at all possible to do it. There are some options other than just your canned food and stuff at the grocery store. In fact, if you're just needing some immediate emergency food, you can go to a link that I'll leave in the comments to My Patriot Supply. They're running a special right now on their 1 week food supply. So you can buy a week's worth of food for like $50 or something. And it's just for today only. So that's an option. You want to be producing your own food, of course. Meat and fresh food is going to be a must, because you don't want to just stock up on starchy foods that keep you alive. That's the stuff to keep you alive is really a temporary thing, because you don't want to be eating, just wheat and beans and rice forever. It's not healthy. You need to have good nutrition. And one of the best things is meat. I know there's probably a few vegans listening and maybe your head's just exploded, but you need to have some meat. And the thing is most of the food that's being produced and will be produced in the near future is not going to be edible for a lot of you, because it's filled with all kinds of harmful, genetically modified, bioengineered things. They're doing that on a bigger and bigger scale. You can go to your grocery store and look at the labels and see more and more foods that are bioengineered. I have spoken directly with beef ranchers in Texas, big beef ranchers, not just some guy that's got 10 head of cattle in his backyard. I'm talking hundreds of head of cattle. And he said absolutely he knows for a fact that certain things are being put into cattle. Not widespread, but they're happening as kind of a test. And eventually, it's going to be everywhere. We've got to make sure that we can produce our own food. Doing some type of meat share. Maybe there's one person in your group that has enough land to sustainably produce enough beef for everyone. And so you all go in together. Or it's chickens, or it's goat, or it's sheep. We talked about that the other day, I think yesterday, in our live stream on locals. Need to make sure that that's nailed down. You need to make sure your plans as a group, and this is especially for those of you that have some type of tribe mag community. What are your plans if things get bad enough that it's not It's not realistic for individual families to be alone on their property. I know this isn't the ideal situation for all of you. We're all rugged individualists and we want to just make it on our own property. But the reality is that things could get bad enough that we have to fall back altogether, because there's obvious strength in numbers. And if it's just one or two people, it's hard to do all the things to survive and defend it at the same time. So have a plan for that. Start talking as a group, even if it's just 2 or 3 families. You know, who has the best property to fall back to, and work together and get over your differences. My wife said this once, not that long ago, and I said it in our local group. Everyone's stuff stinks. Everyone's got skeletons in their closet. Everyone is obnoxious and annoying to each other. That's just being human. Get over it. Work together. This is about survival. This isn't about picking and choosing your favorite friends to go have some times with. This is about finding people to survive with, and make sure it's people that you know and you trust. And then work on other things that are maybe secondary but very important. I mean, medical certainly isn't secondary. You need to do that. I think most of you probably get that medical is highly important, but also just, getting clean water, making sure you have the tools that you need to survive all of this. How are you going to get out and move around as groups? Is things going to get to the point that you can't go to the store by yourself, that you need to go in a group to protect yourself? With all the millions of illegals pouring across the border, it could get to that point in many places. It already is in a lot of places. I just saw a news report today that in the last 24 hours, we've, I think, almost set a record for the amount of illegals pouring across the border. It's going to continue to get bad. It's already bad. It's going to continue to get bad. So make sure you have a plan for that. Maybe right now your wife goes out and does grocery shopping by herself while you're at work or whatever. It may get to the point that you can't do that. And either you're going to have to go out as a family or you're going to have to go out as in groups. And you should start talking about that, making plans for that. If you're part of a group, look into bulk buying. That's always a good deal if you can make it happen. If you're an individual, you need to start working on your security plan, and not just the bang bang stuff, but how you're gonna make it happen so that 1 or 2 adults can secure your property, can secure your home. If you are elderly or have some kind of disability, you already do. You recognize that you're at a disadvantage. That's not a reason to give up. You have things that you can contribute. So continue trying to find a tribe to be part of. Make sure you're doing your best to get as healthy as you can and to work on the skills that you already have. Maybe you knew things growing up and you've kind of forgotten them a little bit. Start rethinking about them, practicing them while you're at home so that you have something to contribute. The harsh reality is that when we get into that kind of world, it's going to be more based on what you can contribute than just who you like. That's just how it's going to be, and we have to get through that and get over it and realize that's the scenario. You also, of course, all of you need to be strengthening yourself mentally and spiritually, because the things that we're going to see over the coming months and years are most likely going to be very traumatic. It's going to shock us, and it's going to break our heart to see a once great nation fall to its knees. And so that's going to be hard to see. It's going to be hard to grasp and to get through. But then we also need to be working on our spiritual walk with the Father, because we're going to be tormented and we're going to be attacked. And we're going to have a target on us. That's very biblical. And so you need to be making sure that your walk is as solid as possible. I know I've said all of these things at different times throughout the years of making these videos, but this is all the basics of being as prepared as possible. And there's certainly more things you need to be doing, but this is the basics, and you need to be getting it down, because I don't think we have a lot of time left. It's not like it was many years ago when we thought we had so many years before things got bad. We're getting down into the months of very real possibilities before things get seriously bad. I'm not making predictions. I'm not making guarantees or promises. I'm just saying there's an increased likelihood that we're less than 12 months away from things getting substantially more desperate. And it's time to stop talking. It's time to stop playing house. It's time to stop just sitting around and talking about what we need to do and what we should do. It's time to get out and actually do it. You need to have boots on the ground. You need to be actively pursuing your goals, developing your skills, and strengthening your body and your mind and your soul. Because we don't have a whole lot of time left before things get crazy. And even if it's more than 12 months, it's still not a lot of time, folks. You need to be actively pursuing the goal of getting your house in order. You need to be preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. You know what you're supposed to be doing. I really shouldn't have to be telling you the details at this point. You just need the motivation and kind of the push, the kick in the pants to get up and be doing it. I'm doing it. I mean, I'm preaching to myself as much as I am to you. It's something I have to push myself every day. Okay, what can I do to utilize my time the best so that I'm not being wasteful of what little time we may have left before we can get ready? And that's the kind of the mission within our own little tribe, is to, kind of keep ourselves in check and on our knees in prayer, asking for guidance, making sure that we are using our time the best we can because of the little time we may have left. Folks, you need to be doing it. If you think you don't, then you're probably watching the wrong channel. Anyways, get your houses in order. Do it now, quickly. That's an order. Folks, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.